The city slept, or at least the respectable parts of it did. Beneath the veneer of slumber, a restless pulse throbbed, a network of whispers and clandestine operations, all orbiting a single, formidable star. Alphonse Capone, for all his earthly power, was not immune to the dawn. Not the gentle, rosy-fingered dawn of poets, but the steel-gray, unforgiving dawn that bled through the grimy windows of his opulent suite in the Lexington Hotel. His eyes, sharp and dark as obsidian chips, flickered open. The silk sheets, cool and expensive, shifted with the subtle tension of his awakening. He didn't rise with a stretch or a yawn. Rather, he simply became awake, a switch flipped from dormant power to active vigilance. The room, furnished with a lavishness that bordered on gaudy, was already alive with the hushed movements of his personal guard. Shadows detached themselves from corners, merging into the solid forms of men whose very presence was a testament to his precarious reign. They were his shield, his eyes, his extensions in a world that sought to tear him down as much as it glorified him. He swung his legs over the side of the bed, the thick carpet muffling the soft thud of his bare feet. A valet, a ghost in the dawn light, materialized with a crisp, white towel and a basin of steaming water. The ritual was precise, unvarying. A hot shave, the glint of the razor a familiar, comforting threat. He watched his reflection, the scar on his left cheek a jagged lightning bolt across his otherwise smooth, powerful face. Scarface, they called him. Let them. It was a badge, a story etched in flesh, a reminder of battles fought and won. It was a testament to his survival, his ascent. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon wafted in, a concession to the domestic in a life utterly devoid of it. He ate sparingly, his mind already racing, sifting through the reports that would soon be laid before him. The city was a vast, intricate machine, and he was its chief engineer, its most ruthless mechanic. Every cog, every lever, every illicit transaction hummed beneath his notice. He felt the tremor of a new shipment arriving at the docks, the subtle shift in allegiance of a minor politician, the faint rustle of discontent in a rival's camp. It was a constant symphony of information, and he conducted it with an iron fist. Dressed in a custom-tailored suit, the fabric a subtle testament to his wealth and impeccable taste, he moved from his private quarters to his command center, a lavish office that commanded a view of Michigan Avenue. The city stretched out before him, a sprawling beast he had tamed, or at least leashed. His desk, a polished slab of mahogany, was already laden with papers, ledgers, and a telephone, a direct line to the pulsing heart of his empire. His men, the inner circle, were already waiting. They stood with the quiet deference of apostles before their deity, their faces a mixture of loyalty, fear, and ambition. He didn't need them to speak. Their postures, their eyes, the subtle tension in their shoulders, spoke volumes. He absorbed it all, processing the unspoken anxieties, the triumphs, the small betrayals that festered beneath the surface of their enforced unity. He moved to the large map on the wall, its surface crisscrossed with colored pins marking his territories, his speakeasies, his distilleries, his gambling dens. His gaze swept over it, a general surveying his battlefield. The red pins, marking rival operations, seemed to pulse with a faint, defiant glow. He ran a finger along the border of a contested district. The whispers of encroachment had grown louder. A new shipment of Canadian whiskey had found its way into one of his established territories, bypassing his distribution network. An insult, an act of war, however minor. His jaw tightened. Such slights could not be tolerated. They were like cracks in a dam, small at first, but capable of unleashing a torrent of chaos. He didn't need to bark orders, didn't need to raise his voice. His presence alone was enough. A subtle shift in his weight, a hardening of his eyes, and the message was conveyed. The lieutenant responsible for that district paled imperceptibly. The problem would be handled, swiftly, decisively. He turned back to his desk, the scent of expensive cigar smoke now mingling with the lingering aroma of coffee. He picked up a ledger, his fingers tracing the columns of figures. Millions flowed through his hands, a river of illicit wealth that fueled his power, corrupted politicians, and bought the silence of a city. He understood money, not as a means to comfort, but as the ultimate weapon, the ultimate shield. It bought loyalty, it bought silence, it bought power. And in Chicago, power was life. If you are enjoying the video so far, give it a like, and comment down below if you have any ideas for who else we can make a story about. The morning unfolded in a series of calculated decisions. A judge needed convincing. A ledger needed balancing. A shipment of Italian wine needed to be cleared through customs, its true contents disguised. Each task, no matter how mundane, was handled with the same unwavering focus. He was a businessman, after all, albeit one whose bottom line was written in blood and fear. Lunch was a solitary affair. A plate of pasta prepared by his personal chef, eaten quickly, his mind still working, still planning. He rarely relaxed, even in the sanctuary of his suite. Relaxation was a luxury he couldn't afford. The city was a hungry beast, constantly demanding to be fed, and he was the one who held the reins. The afternoon brought a series of coded telephone calls, voices hushed and deferential on the other end. He listened, absorbing the nuances, the unspoken anxieties, the faint stirrings of defiance. A particularly troublesome newspaper editor had been making noise again, hinting at connections between City Hall and the Capone syndicate. He drummed his fingers on the desk. Such nuisances were like gnats, irritating but easily swatted. Yet, left unchecked, even gnats could become a swarm. A subtle suggestion, a well-placed bribe, a quiet threat. There were many ways to silence a pen. He rose and walked to the window, gazing down at the bustling street below. Taxis honked, streetcars rattled. Pedestrians hurried about their lives, oblivious to the unseen currents of power that flowed beneath their feet. He saw a woman pushing a baby carriage, a couple laughing as they entered a store, a newsboy hawking his papers. Normalcy, a world he both controlled and was utterly separate from. He was the shadow behind the curtain, the hand guiding the marionettes. A sense of immense solitude washed over him, fleeting but sharp. He had men, loyal men, men who would die for him. But trust? True, unburdened trust? That was a luxury he had long ago discarded. Every smile was a potential betrayal, every handshake a possible prelude to a dagger in the back. He was a king, yes, but a king perpetually surrounded by wolves, some in his own pack. As the afternoon light began to mellow, casting long shadows across his office, a new report arrived. The details were sparse, delivered in hushed tones by a nervous underling. A small-time Irish gang, emboldened by liquor and bravado, had started muscling in on his protection rackets in the north side. They had beaten one of his collectors, leaving him for dead in an alley. A cold, hard knot tightened in Capone's gut. This was not a minor encroachment. This was a direct challenge, a declaration. He closed his eyes for a moment, picturing the alley, the blood, the defiance. Such an act could not go unpunished. To allow it would be to invite further challenges, to show weakness, to watch his empire crumble brick by bloody brick. He opened his eyes, the obsidian chips now burning with a dangerous fire. He didn't raise his voice, didn't shout. His words were low, almost a whisper, yet they carried the weight of impending doom. He outlined the steps, the retribution. It would be swift. It would be brutal. It would be a lesson burned into the collective memory of every aspiring hoodlum in Chicago. The message would be clear. There was only one king in this city, and his name was Al Capone. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The city lights began to twinkle, a million tiny stars against the encroaching darkness. He stood by the window again, watching his kingdom come alive for the night. The speakeasies would fill, the gambling dens would hum, the illicit liquor would flow. His empire, a vast, intricate web, would continue its nocturnal dance. He felt the familiar thrum of power, the intoxicating rush of control. But beneath it, a faint tremor of weariness. The constant vigilance, the endless battles, the weight of so many lives, so many fates, resting on his shoulders. He was a prisoner of his own making, a titan bound by the very chains of his ambition. As the evening deepened, he moved to his private dining room, again alone. The meal was sumptuous, but he barely tasted it. His mind was elsewhere, already anticipating tomorrow, already planning the next move, the next consolidation of power, the next act of retribution. He was a machine finely tuned for survival, for dominance. Later, in the quiet solitude of his bedroom, he shed his expensive suit, the layers of silk and wool falling away like a discarded skin. He stood before the mirror, a powerful, solitary figure. The scar on his cheek seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. He touched it, a ghost of a memory, a lifetime of violence and ambition etched into his flesh. He lay in the vast, silent bed, the city's distant hum a lullaby of his own creation. He closed his eyes, but sleep would not come easily. His mind continued its restless vigil, sifting through the day's events, planning tomorrow's conquests. He was Al Capone, the unanointed king of Chicago, and his reign was a constant, brutal symphony of power, fear, and an endless, gnawing solitude. Another day had passed, another notch carved into the bloody annals of his legend, and the night, deep and watchful, awaited the dawn, when the cycle would begin anew. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and give yourself a free gift by subscribing. Why is this a gift, you ask? It's because you will be giving yourself the chance to listen to more amazing and dramatic stories in the future, and it won't cost you a thing.